I'm here with Michael Craig today. Michael's one of our directors in our business advisory businesses. Michael and I have a client base that is over 1/3 retail and hospitality clients. We have spent the last week and a half non-stop on the phones talking to our clients and working through these different examples. We've got a template here today, but we really wanted you to have a specific understanding of how these things are going to work, and Michael's going to take you through that.
So firstly, I just wanted to give it a quick overview of the boosting cash flow credits. You've probably seen these basic entitlements, but just run through them again. The credit is for a tax-free amount of between 20 and 100,000 for eligible businesses. In a summary position, that business must have an annual turnover of less than 50 million, have had an active ABN on the 12th of March, and have made payments to employees. Doesn't necessarily have had to withheld any tax on those. It's important to note that this benefit is delivered through a credit in the activity statement system. It is not a payment to businesses. So if you've already got existing liabilities, it will firstly offset those ATO liabilities.
And that's one of the biggest. Differences when we've been speaking to our clients that we're trying to explain to them.
So there's two stages of the boost. The first one's called the initial boost. It'll be provided as credits on your March and June BAS. It is 100% of your PAYG withholding on wages up until a maximum of 50,000 with a minimum payment of $10,000. Monthly lodgers will receive a credit of 3 times the PAYG withholding amount reported on the March BAS up till 50,000 with a minimum of $100,000. So, for example, 2,000 multiplied by 3 is 6. Therefore, you get a 10,000 credit because you're at that minimum. You won't get any more until your on your April and May and June BASs, until your actual PAYG exceeds at least $10,000.
And Michael will take you through that spreadsheet in a minute, just so you've got a better understanding of what that looks like.
The second part of the cash flow kicks in on your June to September activity statements. It is based on the value of that initial cash flow boost. It won't actually matter how much you withhold on those July to September activity statements. It'll be based on the first initial one. If you're a quarterly withholder, you'll get 50% on your June activity statement and 50% on your September. If you're a monthly withholder, you'll get 25% on each of those 4 BASs from June till September. And just covering some important points, reiterate again, it is a credit and not a payment. So it'll firstly offset existing liabilities. It'll also offset any amount payable on that BAS that you've lodged.
In relation to GST?
Yeah, GST, anything else you might have payable on that, such as FBT. If you defer lodgement, there is some concessions there, but you have to work through and make sure that's sorted when you defer the lodgement of those BASs. The refund will only occur generally if the credit places you in an overall refund position on your ATO account. So if you've got an outstanding tax liability, income tax liability, or other GST debts, it'll just reduce those debts.
Or if you're on an existing payment plan?
Yeah, an existing payment plan, you'd have to renegotiate and see where you can get to. The credits, another important point that's not coming through, it doesn't matter if you lodge that BAS early, the first payment will come through or the credit will be applied on the 28th of April 2020 being the due date for your March activity statement. There's a couple of other eligibility requirements to watch out for. This is some of the strategies some people are putting out to backdate registrations or PAYG withholding, in addition to the general anti-avoidance. To be eligible in the first place, you must have made taxable supplies and reported them on the BAS, on your BAS, sometime after July 18. So during the 18-19 year or year-to-date 2020. If you haven't registered new business, haven't done that, it appears you won't be eligible for this rebate at this stage. The other alternative is to have derived business income in the 18-19 financial year and lodge your 2019 income tax return by the date of the announcement, 12th of March. A lot of people that won't apply to, seeing 31 March is generally your first big lodgement date through tax agents, and then the next one is May. So a lot of people won't have completed those 2019 returns and lodged them yet.
Yep. So just being clear, it's an either, not an and. The big thing to be aware of here. So we've heard a lot of people talking about adopting different strategies in order to maximize the amount that they're going to receive as a credit. So we've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence out there about people who all of a sudden are going to show up as employees that previously hadn't been employees, and owners of businesses who haven't previously treated themselves as employees, treated them as employees. The tax office have been very clear on this, and when you make the lodgement and they see significant changes in what your previous patterns would be, so you will not be eligible for cash flow boosts if you or a representative have entered into or carried out a scheme for the purpose of either becoming entitled to cash flow boost when you would otherwise not be entitled, or increasing the amount of the cash flow boost. Any sudden changes to the characterization of payments made may cause the tax office to investigate whether the payments are in fact wages.
One of the things to be really cautious on that, it's very easy for the ATO to see that trend. And if you're calling up for another deferral or deferring anything and you've had this, it is clear that you've put in that attempt to get an increase in this benefit, it might hamper your ability to get other benefits from the ATO in terms of payment arrangements. So,
absolutely, and we live in a world of single touch payroll now as well, where people are required to be registered, so they will see the specific information underlying that.
And from here, just want to quickly
just talk about the other services. I mean, Vincents operates around the country. All of these particular areas of our businesses have actually spent this period of time helping our clients. At the end of the day, we're here to support people. We're Queensland predominantly based, but offices around the country providing services in these areas.
I'm just going to jump into a spreadsheet that we've got available on the website. It's pretty simple. This is just an estimate of what your boost will be and what your credit will be, depending on your withholding. So it's simply put in your estimated withholding in here. I'm going to do sort of $2,000 on a monthly BAS here, and you'll see that the first initial payment is $10,000 here. But you're not going to get a credit on your April and May ones because your total withholding, so it's calculated on 3 times your March BAS plus April and May, you only hit 10,000 there. So you'll only get another benefit in your June activity statement. That's opposed to if your first BAS was $5,000, you're going to get the benefit all the way through. You're still under 30,000. So in this case, the ATO's initial payment is a full 30,000 because total withholding is under 50. And then the second tranche, it's not based on your withholding in July. You could go back up to 10, hopefully, or drop it down to 1, and you're still going to get a quarter of the initial benefit over the next 4 quarters, provided you do continue employing, is my understanding of the current rules. If anything changes, we'll update the calculator. Quarterly will be the same amount in terms of this. If you withhold 10,000 here, you'd get the initial one, but you won't get the next one on your June because you've already received it. But if you normally at 20,000, you'd be a monthly reporter. But if you were 20, you'd get the next support coming through on the
so again, it's clear. If you're less than 10,000, you will get up to the 10,000 support. Yep.
Yeah.
Just in finalizing here, we're recording a whole lot of other webinars. We're doing one on business cash flows and forecasting. We think that financial literacy through all of this challenging times is something that we're seeing a lack of. We're also going to have personal budgeting spreadsheets so people understand their various spending patterns and who they may be able to communicate with in relation to deferrals of things. But today was really all about just understanding this, the PAYG withholding boost cash flow for employees. So appreciate the time. taken out in terms of helping people. We're not the dentists. We do have heads for radio, and here we are. Michael Craig and David Rose, they're our direct contact details and our email addresses. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this important message.
Thank you.